for quite long time. I think 6, 7 months. I finally was able to get Jake Hartnell on
Oh wow.
after bothering him so many times. I
Yeah.
believe he might consider me crazy as of now. Um, are you angry for the fact that I was maybe mean on Twitter towards you?
I mean, I don't really care. Like, have much better things to be doing. Don't really. Yeah. Not angry. I mean, I'm still here, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, I was expecting that because I said some words and it was a joke, but then people got very angry and
I
few
mean, it
responses
wasn't. It
were
wasn't. It wasn't your top tier shit post. I mean, you've had better shit
well,
posts. But
well, it
I
just
don't know
didn't
why people
land
were
it.
getting so angry. I think it was clearly a joke. It was like,
But it's also not the first time, not the last time that something I wrote did not land very well, which is okay. But I actually thought you maybe even didn't look at this, didn't think about it. Some people
honestly, I
were
was just
like,
like really
yeah,
busy. Like it's been a really busy couple of weeks because like there's lots happening in Juno lands and it's like
hmm
Dao Dao is, just
hmm
very, very focused. It's like,
I think you are a very safe entity to well, let's say come at. I don't feel I'm coming at you or anything, but I don't think you care because you are so busy that Twitter is none of your priorities, like being engaged in the chat. So you had some of the chats. You work on quite a lot of projects, and
yeah, wow.
what I've been trying to
That's
stalk you.
also why I don't really do interviews, by the way. It's just like, interviews are fun, but it's like it still takes a lot of time. You have to really, you know, set aside a
I
lot of
don't.
time. And then there's like
Yeah,
always like there's a lot of interview requests and it's just like, usually I just ignore them unless I feel like there's like I need to like go and talk about something. So
I don't really like to call it interview. I prefer to call it chats with the people where I'm trying to
yeah,
learn about people,
yeah,
and that
totally.
would be the chat because I feel maybe I'm more interested in the Jake Hartnell than in some of the projects.
Oh,
So
all
I
right.
hope you don't mind that
Okay.
we're going to learn a little bit about who is Jake Hartnell today.
Yeah, but that's like
Um,
boring shit. It's like no one really cares about that. We got to talk about the projects, man. We'll talk about interchain DAOs.
we will, we will jump on it. Um, we will jump to it. But I think you are engaged in quite few things. As of now, you are in Berkeley, San Francisco. So, what I want to know, how did you come to live in San Francisco? If you can give me brief background.
Uh, I went to Berkeley for grad school, and then the weather is nice here. It's just like it's great. California, great weather.
You're doing really horrible shortcut.
I
I
you know
stalk you. I
I
know.
know I'm just it's early. This is I like
hmm
this is not I'm not a morning person, so
hmm
you're not getting me at my best. But
Yeah, sorry for
um
that. But
yeah,
I know you lived. I know you lived in quite few places before. Um, I I saw a little bit of you on Amazon.
oh
Um,
Jesus Christ. Here we go.
I think it's actually great. Um, but is there anything specifically that Berkeley has that other places do not have?
I mean, it's like the Bay Area in general. Bay Area is just like a concentration of like some of the best tech talent in the world and just like all these people that are really excited about building the future.
hmm
And I think that in spite of all its problems, like it's ridiculously expensive to live here, but like you got to just go to a coffee shop and there's like everyone sitting next to you is like an engineer, like, and some of the
Mm.
best engineers in the world. And they're just all concentrated in one place. It's like, wow, max nerd time. So,
Would you call yourself engineer as well or developer?
yeah, I guess I'm an engineer, but I'm probably more of like an artist type, just Engineering
I
is
I
just
thought so.
a means of, making cool shit. So, um, I don't. Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely an engineer. I'm a programmer.
Hmm.
I use
Hmm.
Linux.
Hmm.
I use Arch,
When
by the way.
how did you start? And you said you more of an artist. So I would say creative. If someone would dig deep enough, like you are engaged in music, I believe you were engaged in the art scene. So how does those two words merge? And are you getting like creative fulfillment in the work you are doing?
Yeah, I do get creative fulfillment in the work I'm doing. I mean, like in many ways, one of the reasons why I was interested in Stargaze and NFTs is because
Hmm.
like I had like worked on like an indie record label a while back, and I saw how artists were constantly getting screwed, not just by record labels, but by like the big tech companies that would like
Hmm.
charge insane amounts. And this is the likes of Apple. Poor starving artists are like out there trying to make a living, and like Apple's like taking like 30%, you know, on top
That,
of
that,
whatever. And then like the whole streaming model just didn't really work out, and
mhm.
that was really frustrating. And then I did a book, and actually did my thesis on decentralized content distribution in Berkeley in 2014. And the whole thing that I was really like enraged about was like, and which I got to see firsthand, is that like Amazon charges authors 30 to 60% to ship a file over the internet. And so
Yeah.
like, to me, like one of the things that really appealed to me about crypto is this way to like for artists to sell directly to their fans, no
Mhm.
middlemen. Like
I,
that's so
I was
yeah.
thinking we are actually doing better because when you look at the era of like record labels where we didn't really have streaming services, which I'm speaking of like Apple or Spotify, like iTunes specifically. And every now and then I'm actually able to see that there is a lot of new upcoming artists that make like 100K, which they would not be able to do before. So I think actually the streaming services do create those opportunities, or even with
I
podcasts,
disagree.
right?
I think the only reason you do streaming services is for exposure. Like no one, you have to be in
Hmm.
like the top 1% to make any real money off streaming services. Like even some of the most
Hmm.
famous, most listened to tracks like hardly make any money. It's kind of sad. Um, what
Hmm.
it does give you is exposure. Like everyone expects you to be on streaming services now, and so the way most like musicians make money is like going on tour or like selling merch, those kinds of things. Um, but they're on Spotify to get exposure to make sure that their tour tickets sell out. So, um,
Hmm.
but yeah,
I did try.
I mean, and getting back to like, I guess the main point of like how I got here is like, that whole problem of like, how can artists like directly connect with their fans? How can they sell
Mhm.
directly to their artists, or how can artists sell directly to their fans without middlemen? Was like a huge appeal uh, for me. Um,
Mhm.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
I'm just gonna
How
keep
long
drinking this
you
coffee.
is it good one? What coffee do you drink actually?
I just went to the corner store and just got a coffee because I really needed one. So,
But it's black,
oh yeah, totally.
no
I just
sugar.
drank black, no milk, no sugar, just straight up
Good,
right into
because
my veins.
otherwise we would have to end up this conversation
Yeah,
early.
no, I
Um,
think it's gonna start picking up in like however long this
no, like
takes. I mean,
no, but like I do also drink only black, and I don't really um accept any other type of coffee like before. I used to, but not anymore. Um, so like we are going to jump to the projects that you want to talk so much, Juno, Dao Dao. But first, I saw you speaking. I think you see the issue with modern governance systems. I want to
yeah,
learn what are those problems with a modern governance systems.
yeah. There's just so many. Like, there's these huge like human coordination problems that are happening. I think that the fact is we're living in an international world. Like, what country are you calling from? Like we're in this like international
Poland
world.
right now. Yeah.
We're all connected via the internet, and our institutions are not really designed to deal with that. Like what if we wanted to, like, I don't know, partner up on like a small project or whatever? We'd have to pay a lot of lawyers to like set up an international entity so that we could be part of the same org. It would
Hmm.
cost a lot of money and be really slow. And so there's just, and that's just one element of like, challenges of like international orgs and how we can collaborate seamlessly over the internet. That's like a huge challenge. But then I think we also live in an age where our institutions are frankly failing in many ways, like environmental destruction, not just climate change, but destroying the environment is totally real. Like there's like plastics and microplastics in our water.
Hmm.
Like this is not a conspiracy theory. Like it's just, you know, there's
Yeah.
toxic chemicals that are like increasing like the risk of cancers. Men produce less sperm than they did like 40 years ago. It's just like environmental things like really impact us,
Hmm.
and our institutions are completely incapable of dealing with this problem, with these kinds of problems. So there's these
Yeah,
huge like
but
coordination things that happen. I think then another thing that we're seeing with problems with governance is, yes, we have like institutions like the U.S. government, or the European Union, or what have you, countries, but we also have these other institutions, tech companies, and these are the institutions that actually have the real power these days.
hmm
Um, so like, we've seen time and time again with like whether it's Facebook supporting like, genocide, that's like
hmm
a well-known thing. In Southeast Asia, they've like basically provided a platform for encouraging, really bad stuff. And at the same time, there's also these not very transparent moderation issues that happen.
hmm
These are companies that are effectively like authoritarian governments, and whatever they say goes. Um, and in an age where algorithms will increasingly control more and more of our lives, we need to think about what democratic control over those algorithms looks like. So, like,
hmm
what is democratic control over like
hmm
an algorithm, like a social feed looks like?
hmm
These are, and like all these are kind of like grand, like 5-10 year kind of
hmm
problems, but it's really important for us to like start working on them and thinking on them
hmm
now.
hmm Yeah, that's by the way, I don't know what causes men producing less sperm. I don't know if it's environment or maybe changing the lifestyle, because your lifestyle and my lifestyle is very different than the lifestyle we would have if we would probably live in 90s, right? So maybe just it's not really environment, but the lifestyle. But we don't know that. With the harm on the environment, we have very big thing in Poland right now. The A lot of fish started dying in the Oder River in Poland in last week, and no one knew what's going on. It's I think 100 tons of fish. It's ecological disaster here, and now is the issue because no one knows why. So there is assumption it might have been some company that released a lot of waste to the river that killed a lot of fish. And the first reports were like 3 weeks ago, which was ignored till the point that really like you saw the death in the river. And now we
Totally.
have issue because no one knows who is responsible. No
I
one's
mean,
come like. Mhm,
to me, that's a classic problem. Is like, uh, if you look at economic incentives, they're like the company or whatever that did that, we don't know, but like, um,
mhm,
there's no penalty for those kinds of things. There's
yeah,
no economic incentive to do positive things for the environment. Like there's
mhm,
a lot of economic incentive to cut down the rainforest, but like
mhm,
no economic incentive to leave it standing. Like you can cut it down, you can burn it down and sell the wood, and you can let cattle graze there, which is why the Amazon is being. I mean, just look at the fucking satellite videos. You don't have to be like, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I've actually been to the Amazon rainforest and like seeing all the trees that are cut down. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, like this
mhm,
is something fundamentally that we need to like address, like as humanity going forward, is like, and frankly, our institutions are failing us. And so we need to like start thinking about how we want to like evolve governance going forward. So, and
So
it's
what? Yeah.
yeah. Not go on. What do you got?
What do I get so wrong about the institutions? Okay. Well, I agree with you, but I want to to be like Amazon, Facebook, Google. I can tell you, in certain ways, my life did become way better in the past 10 years. Amazon, as the because of they I feel because they are centralized company, they were able to grow very efficient, did the right acquisitions, they built, and the great thing they did, which I don't see being possible with the centralized organization, is the logistics. They were very clever in building the logistics center, for example, near my hometown,
Sure,
just
yeah. I
50
mean, I'm not
kilometers away.
denying that the value that those companies have like created one
Hmm.
second. We also have to keep in mind like the trajectory of where things are heading. Like,
Hmm.
and I think the whole decentralization, centralization thing is kind of like it's kind of a distraction.
Hmm.
Nothing's ever purely
Yeah.
decentralized, nothing's ever purely centralized. And I think that sometimes that framing like leads us to like unproductive like
Hmm.
conversations. Like
So what is the most important thing that organization has to deliver to be good organization?
um I think accountability is good.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, like allowing for you not it's not like complete democratic control, but like but like
Mhm.
some measure of accountability is good. I think in
Yeah.
terms of like these like social algorithms, like I think allowing for more community control and governance, like
Mhm.
that's the future, and
Mhm.
we're definitely working towards this with Cosmos, the idea of like these sovereign chains, these sovereign communities that govern themselves, and you know the great thing about it is if you don't like the rules in one community, you can leave and go to another.
Mhm.
You can take
Yeah.
all your funds with you too. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah,
Yeah.
there's just
I,
so
I,
much to talk about on this topic. I'm still waking up, but
it's okay. It doesn't have to be rushed. We kind of have moments of silence.
all
Um,
right.
but like I remember I spoke to my friend. It was 10 years ago, and I still don't know it's the truth. Someone did the experiment with the rats, and I always think maybe that's how humans are, that they created essentially really good life for the rats community. So they gave them like enough food, a lot of entertainment. They created the artificial environment, and with that, the rats start um, developing a lot of fetishes and weird behaviors. So I wonder if the fact that humans destroy themselves could be the result of essentially fulfilling all of the basic needs, right? Like that's about environment. That just like thought, but I
Absolutely.
don't even know if it's true or not. But maybe you are destined to destroy ourselves, right? Um,
Perhaps, yeah.
so
I mean,
you
we're
are
doing a pretty good
engaging,
job, so
and maybe it's fine. I like to say we don't know what's good or not, right? Like in existence there is no thing like this. If we cease to exist, fine. Like,
yeah. The
I mean,
universe is
it's
not going to
dark.
care. Like the
Yeah.
bacteria will take
Uh
over. Just like
huh. So you
I don't think it'll be fun though. I'd rather like live out my remaining years and not like go through the
I love
apocalypse.
living. I want to live
Yeah, great.
150 years. So
Yeah.
I think the like nothing better than the existence,
Wow,
and
150 years. That's a long time.
it will be difficult and a lot of pain. Seeing the close ones die, you
Yeah, no,
know,
I'm gonna be out at like 70,
and with your lifestyle, I guess more
probably, yeah, totally.
mornings.
I mean, but if you're not like living, are you actually living? Like, I don't want
Hmm.
to live in a
Hmm.
nursing home. Like, just want to have like a good
Yeah.
time, do really cool shit, then I'm out. So,
Hmm. Hmm. So you are engaged in like few projects, and I didn't really see you engaged before this project emerged, and now I think you have status like Cosmos OG. I weird maybe description, but people do consider you this great guy within Cosmos. Everyone recognize you. You are co-founder of Stargaze, co-founder of Juno, co-founder of Dao Dao. And when I met you in Prague, like I said to you, give up on Dao Dao, do Stargaze. NFTs are cool, because maybe I didn't see the value in DAOs, but recently I see it more and more. The more people I talk to, from Dao Dao. What was the first? Because when I saw some of the chats in November, the Dao Dao was already very living idea. So maybe let's, like, how did you get engaged into Juno? Let's start with this. How did it come to life?
Yeah, that's pretty funny topic. I mean, I saw Wolf and then Jack tweet out about a Discord for this new Juno chain, and I
Hmm.
actually wanted to learn a lot more about like launching a chain. Like at the time, we'd been working on Stargaze for like a whole year, but we hadn't launched anything. And oh no, I just joined this random Discord, and then I saw like there wasn't really much happening, and I was just like, well, here's a chance to like fuck around and learn some shit. So helped do the first test net, help get
Hmm.
the first contract uploaded, because I also kind of wanted an excuse to play around with Cosmwasm. Um, you know, uh, we can keep this like high level, but Cosmwasm smart contracts are absolutely amazing. They're very powerful. If you've done like the first version of Stargaze, which was actually a decentralized Twitter app, was built entirely with native Cosmos SDK modules, and they would constantly break. It was a pain to upgrade them. It was the development was so slow, and it took so much work. And so, like like getting to play around with Cosmosm was really cool. And yeah, and then Juno's kind of one of those things where it's like I kind of like joined and intended to like spend like 5 hours a week just like helping out in the community, whatever. And then it just kind of kept snowballing, and then it wound up like Juno wound up being like way bigger than I ever thought it would be. So in many ways, I just kept getting like
Hmm.
pulled in, and now
Hmm.
now now I can't leave. It's like Juno's really fun. So
So what, it was just like experiment ground for you, like you
yeah,
want
no,
your own
totally. I
chain,
wanted
and
to.
suddenly here- here's this huge project having
Yeah,
life,
yeah. It's
expanding,
like
engaged
a lot of things
community.
early on in Juno. Like the first hack Juno, that was just also an experiment. Like I was just
Hmm.
like, we want to like get people to build stuff in Cosmwasm, because at the time there were like very few like Cosmwasm applications. Like, and now we have like all these projects launching on Juno. It's really really exciting.
Hmm.
But like around like August or September or October of last year, there was like basically nothing built. It was like,
Hmm.
um, and so yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, Juno got way bigger than I ever thought it would be. I actually
But
like thought that it like, if when the chain did launch, it would be like tops
mhm,
like $2. Um, and then, but like the community, like I think in many ways, like looking back, like the timing was perfect. Like Juno just had like perfect timing. The fact that it was very like community oriented in terms of like the airdrop and like the distribution of the chain, like very, 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 very heavy community was like a huge strength. And then a lot of really cool projects came out of Hack Juno, and then eventually, like in many ways, Terra collapsing was like really, really bad for the Cosmos ecosystem, but it was also kind of the best thing for the Cosmos ecosystem,
mhm,
because all the projects that were previously going to launch on Terra, are now looking elsewhere. They're going to Osmosis, they're going to Stargaze, they're going to Juno, and like so that was also really good. In fact, Juno has flipped Terra 2 in market cap, so warms my heart. So
we're gonna make it.
we're gonna make it.
But
Yeah, just
but
got to
yeah,
keep building
like,
shit.
it's weird because when we dropped to $2, it was like very dark, right? But when you look from like the distance, it's still $100 million project. It's not little, right?
Yeah,
So
and the fact is like we have like very large like community pool, and very large like funding set aside for public works. and those were
Mm-hmm.
tokens that we just didn't give to like, you know, VCs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and those tokens can go like straight to devs, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think that's really important for the culture of the chain. And I actually think that's why like Juno's going to have like pretty long term like sticking power as well. Like
Yeah.
it all comes down to the community, and frankly, one of the I mean, there's multiple communities. There's like the people that use the chain and use the dApps and are doing things with it, and then there's also
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, the builders. And I think Juno
Yeah.
has a great community of both. So,
And Max is here too.
oh, Max, yeah, we got Max Juno too. Holy shit,
So
dude's a legend.
um
We should try to get him on. That would be great.
I think I asked him that before. I did ask Max for this before. I said I want to speak to him. I don't think back then we had as good relation maybe as now. I think now the things are better, like easier. Um, but you founded the Juno. This is like, and you founded it with other people, with the
Yeah,
different
that's
people.
another great thing about Juno is like
Mhm.
it's pretty decentralized in terms of founding, and like um yeah.
Sorry.
So
So
some of your favorite people, obviously, like Jack
um
and
yeah,
like Wolf and Demi. You should get Demi on. Demi's great.
I,
I mean, you should
you're
get all those
horrible
people on.
now because one of the best chats I ever had on this channel was with Dimi. Like you
Yeah.
don't know how many interviews I already did within Juno. Like I had Dimi
All right.
very good
Well, you know,
chat. I will send you that.
I'll
Maybe
just
you will.
I'll just spend every day. I'll just watch your
That's
channel.
okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. But you found it to a very different people. Like I don't even know if you knew each other.
Oh
And
yeah, we're very
sometimes,
very different people. Yeah, totally.
sometimes
And I
when
think
you
that's okay.
start,
Like I think everyone has on like everyone has like good strengths that they like
mhm,
contribute to the project. And everyone's like pulled through at like different times.
I was thinking, was it also difficulty because ideology is one thing, and I do believe that Juno was born from the ideology, right? We are building this great decentralized network here. We are all on the same page. But once the network launches, I believe the people have different understanding of what is fair, what is decentralized, etc. So as the Juno grew, did you have this realization that it was like, hey, I kind of imagine different the things than the other guys, and did
No,
you
I mean
think,
like
hey,
I
I
always assumed that, you know, and that's just the
Mhm,
reality is like no one in any like communities are not homogenous, and people in
mhm.
Juno have different views on things, and that's fine.
And was it like something that you would like disagree strongly with the founding members as well? It doesn't have to like give an example, but like
I
I
mean, like
wonder. Mhm.
we can get into the whole Prop 16 thing. Sure, let's do it. But like, yeah, did I disagree with that? Hell yeah, I did. I thought the process for how it came about was like not good. In
Mhm,
fact, I think if they followed a little bit more process, like
mhm,
um, if they had like posted it on Commonwealth, if they got like feedback on the proposal, if they actually made a good argument in Prop 16, like the
yeah.
airdrop, like gaming the airdrop was totally the wrong argument. I think there was actually like legitimate concerns there, um,
Mhm,
and but it was just worded so poorly, and the process was like just yeah,
yeah.
I you know, and I think as a result, like we've really advanced the conversation around governance in Cosmos, and I think that that's a good thing. You know, sometimes you go through these like real difficulties as a community, and you like emerge from it like a lot stronger.
Yeah,
And I
it,
think
it
that
maybe it maybe did even help Dao Dao, right? Like because its governance
oh,
system,
totally. I
like
think one of the motivations behind working on Dao Dao
Mhm,
is to improve the tools for like on-chain
yeah,
governance.
yeah.
And like in many ways, we intend for Dao Dao to evolve to support, like be able to be used to govern a Cosmos chain. And in
Mhm,
fact, we're
mhm,
like kind of actually sort of doing this with Juno right now. So we're running the sub DAOs from Dao Dao, but
mhm,
like um, you know, I think it became very clear to me that like there's a ton of work to do on governance, and you know, like
yeah,
yeah, no shit, things aren't perfect. Like
Yeah.
To
Oh.
me, it's like that's like it's really easy to like complain about, oh, it's not like this, or it's not that,
Mhm.
and just
Mhm.
bitch about things constantly. But like I think with data, we're trying our best to like just go
Yeah.
forward and like make systems that will scale and make systems that also like will support many different kinds of systems. Like the great thing with data
Mhm.
is we don't put like too many values in it. It's literally governance
Mhm.
Lego blocks.
Mhm.
If you think centralized organizations are just way more efficient, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, centralized, decentralization doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. If you really think that, you can make centralized institutions with
Mhm.
data,
Mhm.
and if you
I
want to make
actually was.
more
Yeah.
if you
Go
want to
on.
make more like decentralized structures or more radical structures, you can do that as well.
Yeah. I just want to say I did not try to like imply like Prop 16. I see some people asking about this, but more about
I
like,
saw it in there, so I was like, yeah,
yeah,
we'll talk about it. But
but it's
you
also
know,
about
I,
like
I did vote abstain on
ideology.
it
Hmm.
because I think first of all, the chain has a fundamental right to like govern itself. That's what we mean by
Hmm.
sovereign blockchains. Like,
Hmm.
and I also am a really big believer. I actually think on-chain governance is really cool. I'm a big fan, but it is scary, and we have a lot to like grapple with. There's still a lot of work to do, but it's really cool. Like, I think one of the shittiest parts of crypto is the fact that there's no recourse if something bad happens. Like, if a
Hmm.
mistake happens, we just have to live with it for
Hmm.
all of time. Like, like whether it's a mistake in the airdrop that gives like someone like 10% control of the network, or a mistake where we like sent funds to the wrong smart contract address, or to the wrong address. Like,
Hmm.
are those just lost forever? Or like, these those are like, that's a really cool like superpower. Like the idea that if something bad happens, there are some actions that we can take to try to address it, even
Hmm.
though oftentimes like those kind of things will be messy, and it's something we have to work through together as a community. um, but in contrast, like there's billions of dollars locked in dead Ethereum smart contracts,
Yeah.
and there are like people that have lost like large amounts of money on like there's people that have lost like $200 million worth of Bitcoin or whatever. And it's just like there there's no recourse for those people. And
Mhm.
in many ways that's great. Like, if you don't like on-chain governance, well, guess what? There are many different chains out there in the interchain. And
Mhm.
but what we need to like, Juno is a chain to like fundamentally explore and push forward a couple ideas. The
Mhm.
first is Cosmosm. It's just a better smart contracting framework.
Mhm.
WebAssembly for smart contracts is just way better than EVM. Like,
Mhm.
um, like I could rant about that for a while. I don't know how many of the audience is developers, but like, even just in terms of performance, like way more performant. Like, you can just do way more complex computations. It's
Mhm.
faster too. You can use existing languages like Rust or Go or C++ or C Sharp or TypeScript or Scala or whatever. It's like you don't have to, developers don't have to learn new languages. That's like really cool. And
Mhm.
then, I mean, I could just, Cosmosm is awesome. So like in many ways, like Juno is like designed to like forward the Cosmosm ecosystem. I
Mhm.
think the second thing is it's like, and this one kind of emerged. I think the great thing about Juno is it's like, it kind of started out as this really simple idea. Like, let's just have a permissionless smart contract chain. It's the sister hub to the Cosmos hub. And it's just kind of like developed all these emergent properties and ideas. And,
Mhm.
it's kind of a little bit chaos because like not everyone has the same vision of Juno. And that's what's great about it. Like, there's no like core team like TFL to like be like, this is the vision for Juno. Like, and we're going to,
Yeah.
um,
So,
and so
Jake,
kind of
sorry
just
to stop you
emerges.
here. Sorry to
Right.
stop you here because I feel that might not be necessarily the truth that there is no vision of Juno. Because I spend so much time on Twitter for better or worse that I do feel that some people who founded Juno they had clear ideology of what this chain is. So how you prevent the founding fathers of the chain not influencing the chain with what they think is right or not, because I don't know if many people agree with me, but I feel I have seen that some people try to push their own agenda, which is normal because we are humans.
Sure. Yeah. Totally.
But it's problem when you claim this is community driven organization, but you are strongly pushing your own agenda and
Yeah. I
you
mean,
have
like
very
some
strong
people,
position in the project.
it all comes down to like who, gets involved in the community. I think we have seen the emergence of new community leaders, which is really exciting. So we've seen, like the emergence of Kevin from Oni
Hmm.
Validator. It came out of nowhere, like really pushing
Hmm.
like a very strong vision for Juno.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like you're directing this at Wolf, but there's definitely like competing visions out there. But
I
um,
not really. I feel the um block creators and Wolf have this certain very strong ideology and
totally,
how they view the chain, and they really try to stick to what they believe is right.
yeah. I mean, like I
Like
also
they have
have like
right for it, but they have
I
strong
also
influence,
have
right?
my ideas,
Hmm.
and other people have their ideas.
Hmm.
The important thing is to go out and engage. Uh,
Yeah.
you can sit around and and complain that like block creators and Wolf have like a lot of power, but frankly, I think you know they don't have like absolute power, and they could like
Hmm.
easily like people could come in with stronger visions. They just have to work on like articulating those. Um,
Hmm.
it's
It's a good point.
if this is how you feel, like go forth, put out a vision for Juno, critique Block and Wolf's vision for Juno, for all, like none of this stuff is really set in stone, but like it will be if we're just going to be like, oh, Block and Wolf like control the vision for Juno because they're
Hmm.
founders or whatever. It's just like as soon as you buy into that idea, well, it's true. But
Hmm.
um,
It's it sounds wrong. I do not complain, but I do feel that there is the rhetoric of like community, but there is the entities who say that could be hypocritical in actually pushing that agenda, right? But this is I think this is normal because we are humans
yeah,
and
humans are
we
hypocritical. That's just kind of how it is.
you
Like,
believe that your beliefs are better for humanity and I believe my beliefs are better for humanity, right? But
sure.
and we probably will try to push that. We have a lot of questions. I hope we get some time at the end. um there is and I stayed in Juno, right? I'm in Juno because it's only one place that allows me to voice out my opinion, and it's really cool that like people treat me quite equally here, and I willing to speak. I can't imagine the same on other networks, to be honest. So that's really cool feature that Juno has. um but you also work on the other project that I feel scope of that could be maybe even greater than Juno. Was Dao Dao, because once the Juno launched, there was already like very mature idea of Dao Dao. I feel from the chats of you and Elshow, I did listen that,
Mhm.
like like interviews and speeches of yours. So did Dao Dao born after the Juno was already there, or was it like long before this complex
Uh,
governing systems?
I mean, I've been quite interested in DAOs for a while,
Mm-hmm.
but like I think it was kind of mostly born during it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It like the actual like data project came out of Hack Juno.
Mm-hmm.
Someone built a UI for the multi-sig contract. Um, or my friend Elliot was looking for a Hack Juno project, and I scratched out some screens on a napkin, which he still has. He still has a napkin that's like the first drawing of Dao Dao, and it was like super simple, and it was just a multi-sig. Um, but like once that like kind of Hack Juno project was built, it became like really clear like, hey, it's actually pretty. We could actually quite easily like build some DAO tooling for Cosmos, and
Mm-hmm.
I really felt, especially given like all my experience in Cosmos up until the point that the multi-sig experience was just so bad compared to Ethereum. Like
Mm-hmm.
you could only use them on the command line, so only programmers could use them. And even if you're a programmer, it was just really a pain in the ass. Everyone would have to exchange JSON files. Like you would literally have to like send someone a file on Telegram. and
Mhm.
it was really easy to mess up, and I wasted a lot of time on this, and so it was just like kind of just a nice handy thing. And
Mhm.
I don't know, it was really clear to me that like Cosmos needed some DAO tooling,
Mhm.
like really bad. And I was also really concerned about it for Stargaze as well, because like you know, when you're dealing with content, like governance problems inevitably emerge. Like, you know, people will launch a scam NFT project, and then people want it to be like removed from the website or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
like right now, this kind of all happens like just with code and like a manual, like kind of human process. Like, and frankly, I think the team's doing a really good job on that. But as things grow, you want, you know, all these things to be as like decentralized as possible and like baked into the protocol. Um,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I think there's just like governance is just like a fundamentally like useful tool in crypto, and it became really like kind of obvious to me like after Juno launched that like that it'd be something like important and needed. And it was also just something I was most excited about. Like I'm kind of one of those people that just like I have to be like really really excited about something to work on it, and then when I'm really excited about it, I just cannot stop working on it. Like
Mhm.
I just kind of became obsessed with DAOs. So
Mhm. I'm
um
getting there. I do really like to play with Dao Dao. I'm trying to make few for the like as the experimentation ground. You did get like really I think really good collective of people. When you look at the number of people contributing, I think it's over 20 people contributing.
yep.
Maybe um how were you able to engage that people? Was it the people you knew before already?
It was a lot of
Because
people I knew before, but there were like a lot of new people too. Like
Mhm.
actually some of the best contributors are just met randomly. Like
Mhm.
but you know, I think the key thing about Dao Dao is that like a bunch of people that would not even normally be crypto people like saw the potential and saw like the concept of DAOs and were like, holy shit, this
Mhm.
is actually really important. In many ways,
Mhm.
it was like a really easy project to recruit people for because um, they thought it was cool and they thought
Mhm.
doing it as a DAO was cool. And you know, we just
Mhm.
built up a really awesome community behind it. So
Yeah. So you just launched the DAO that will be responsible for managing the DAO DAO platform, right?
I'd
Um,
say advancing the Dao Dao platform. The Dao
mhm,
Dao platform
okay,
is completely open source. Anyone can like
right.
just own it and use it. But you know, we have to
Yeah.
continue to advance development, and you know, so it's like the Dao 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 does not run. You know, like it doesn't. There's no like there's no fees. There's no like forcing anyone to like pay a fee to create a DAO or whatever. You know, it's like um,
So
I don't really like those kind of models. I think they're very like small minded. Where
because because that's good answer because I wanted to discover how does it differentiate from like the centralized entities, and I wanted to know why you decided to go with DAO that will advance DAO. Does it open new possibilities in like funding or managing the
Yeah,
team?
totally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Juno is like the like a really great original example of this is like uh we just created, you know, $100 million or whatever for public good funding out of thin air by just, you know, creating a token, but more importantly,
Mm-hmm.
creating value and a community behind it. Community is the moat. Like creating
Mm-hmm.
this like really active community around Cosmosm created like all this value. And then
Mm-hmm.
that just it become kind of becomes like a virtuous cycle, if you will. Like
Mm-hmm.
the more devs come, the more projects get built, the more like retail investors come and users come, you know, and then it just, you know, feeds
Yeah.
back into the next loop. And so like, you know, with Dada, I actually want to like try to like, I have this whole thing that I'm doing at Cosmoverse called Interchain DAOs. That's going to be like the title of my talk because I see Juno as an interchain DAO. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that's kind of like emerged over time again, or at least it's my conception of Juno. Because I see Juno as a DAO, and I think that there's a really really interesting path for growth and value capture for Juno
Mm-hmm.
holders, um, which I'll talk about during Cosmoverse. I'm not going to spill the beans. You might be able to tease some of it out of me,
I,
but
I
you know,
I
But
try
in
to
many ways,
find
like
those.
I want Dao Dao to like pioneer some ideas that I hope to bring to the rest of the cosmos, which is like token swaps for aligned incentives between communities, and really thinking like multi-chain from
Mhm,
from the get-go. Like, how do we build multi-chain protocols?
mhm.
You know,
I
there's
was
too much
searching
there's
for
too
your
much
speech.
silos. So
I
what?
was searching for your speech in Hackathon Korea today. I couldn't find. It would be really great if you could share. I do love listening to you. Like you have the talent of explaining things in really nice manner. I wonder, beyond the speculation on the DAO token, is there any way that the DAO can monetize by charging the fee of because creating a DAO
No,
is
no, I
completely
don't think
free.
I don't really think that's interesting. Um, I think
But
you know
if you
the
have
way
an
the way that
idea.
we're
Mhm,
done. These are just small-minded. What we have is a valuable community. Valuable communities create a lot of value, and guess what? They can capture some value. So like Dao Dao has probably some of the best engineers in Cosmos right now. Some of the
mhm,
best front end devs, some of the best smart contract devs are part of Dao Dao. And guess what? They're all going to go out and launch cool new DAOs. They're going to go
mhm,
out and launch cool protocols, of which we're using Dao Dao to kind of like incubate that community. You know, um, it's I think it's one of those things that'll just like we're just going to go out and do it, and it'll make sense in hindsight. I'm not going
mhm,
to go like write a big like article about like,
mhm,
oh, this is. I mean, we kind of touched on this in the tokenomics a little bit. Like, like when we did the distribution, it's deliberately minimal. Only like 8% of tokens were distributed. The rest is just sitting there in the treasury, just potential for token swaps, and and to reward future contributors. Like, people have been asking a lot for DAO tokens, and the way you get DAO tokens is make a valuable contribution to the ecosystem, like contribute to the cosmos. And we have this contributor drop, which we're going to be making like a regular thing, where we'll be recognizing people in the community that are making great contributions.
mhm,
Um, and we're the other thing that we're really interested in is people launching great DAOs. Like, we want to incentivize not just like passive, staking, which is great. Maybe something will happen. We'll see what the DAO votes. I don't control it.
mhm, mhm,
I'm an influential voice, but like, I don't control it. Um, I think we want to incentivize people to go out and like make cool shit. Like, go make a really
yeah,
cool DAO, and if you make a really cool DAO, like DAO DAO will token swap with you. And so we
yeah.
have this idea.
This is
Yeah.
good answer. Like when I ask you about how you monetize, it's like that's like like you told me. It's not that I don't agree with this, but it's really cool. Like you give in like whole power in the community, and you are able to create your own value and whatever you want with your own DAO.
Yeah, it's kind of
One.
like DAO DAO as like an investment DAO or as
Mhm,
like an incubator DAO, you
mhm.
know.
Want to show you something quickly. I've been working with Barton on this.
Yeah, I saw the Polish translation. Thank you. This is like awesome.
It's I struggle with the DAO. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like in Polish, like I know Barton for Ukrainian used union because it fits
Yeah.
more. I just use organization. But then I spoke to a friend. He said like, "Oh no, DAO sounds better because like you can make a gimmick around DAO." So we'll think. But like it's really cool like to see how trying to make that to feed people. Um, there's one question from Nikita. How would you classify a good DAO? So that's a speculation for you. Decentralized and autonomous. Most times I've seen it. There is a council that is in fact members of DAO and juice holders that are like in DAO. I read it weird, but I think you get the point. So
I mean, the question is, how would you classify a good DAO?
mhm,
I think that uh I don't I don't think there's really like a I don't have like a pure answer for that. Like,
mhm,
I think that there's a lot of different types of like potential organizations. You know what? I actually will say that sometimes having a core team is good. Otherwise, it's just pure chaos.
mhm,
We need ways for people to like self organize into teams, or nothing's going to get done.
mhm,
It's just like uh, So like, I think for me, I'd love to see like a lot more experimentations in terms of for me I think it's about like what is the DAO going out and doing? Are they going out and making something? Are they making like an impact in the world? Is it, and there's many different types of DAOs, and we want to like, we're not going to be like, oh, this is like the type of DAO you have to make if you want to be like eligible.
Mm-hmm.
In many ways we want people to just experiment, like go make a DAO that's like as decentralized as possible and see if you can make
Mm-hmm.
it work to do something cool, you know. But that's like I think we're like probably just, you know, like probably going to judge more on like, is the DAO active? Is it like actually doing stuff? Like, you know, are they building cool things? There's many different types of DAOs. We have protocol DAOs, which are like, you know, something like Juno Swap. You know, it's run by Dao Dao tooling. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more that are coming as well. Many of the projects that are launching on Juno have reached out about using Dao Dao for their
Yeah.
governance, which is really cool. So that's great. It allows token holders of these projects to like have some say in how they're run, probably with varying degrees between different projects, but you know. Um, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's, you know, things like nonprofit DAOs or social club DAOs. I'd like to see like record label DAOs or like DAOs that are doing like really cool things with art or like NFTs on Stargaze. Um, yeah, so like I think there's many different types of DAOs, and I think there's many potential structures for DAOs, and that's my vague answer to, you know, you know, I don't think like we don't have a prescriptive thing of like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what it should
Mm-hmm.
be. So
What do you think is the best governance systems? Does anything like this exist? Does anything that is close to the best governance system exist?
I mean, I think we need to like acknowledge like what has come before. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh there's a lot to learn from our existing government systems today. I mean, there's a lot to change about them. Uh and but you know, if you don't, if you just like blindly go at it and just be like everything's bad, you know, that's just not true. There's like actually some, like the way governments organize themselves into departments, the way there's like checks and balances between different types of branches, you know, like these are actually like really, you know, interesting lessons to learn, and how we, and I think we're going to use those going forward in terms of like, you know, how we want to like structure these things. Like the whole point of Dao Dao is to make governance building blocks that are flexible enough that you can just completely mirror an existing like organization. Like if you want to create a C corporation, you can create it in DAO tooling exactly to the
Mm-hmm.
T of how it is in the law, where you have
Mm-hmm.
shareholders and then board members, and board members elect executives, and then you got the top down control, and the executives hire like all their staff, and
Mm-hmm.
they get a budget and they go out and do, you know,
Mm-hmm.
a mission that's like, you know,
I,
uh,
I tell you, sorry, I still have some problems because I was imagining when I create the DAO that within this DAO I can create the governance system. So I can have maybe someone like the sub DAOs that can be already created within this DAO, but it cannot be done. It has to be created as the new DAO, right? That will be under
yeah.
that
So
main
SubDAO
DAO.
UI is probably going to come out in like the next 2 weeks. So
Right. Cool.
it's already supported
Yeah.
by the contracts, but
Hmm.
I'm really excited to like finally get that out in the world, and
Hmm.
that is going to like really open up like a lot of cool
Hmm.
possibilities. So
Hmm.
you'll be able to create a sub DAO from the DAO. Like your DAO will vote to create a sub DAO. There'll
Hmm.
be a UI template for it and everything, and then you'll be able to see a list of sub DAOs like when you visit the DAO page. So
Hmm.
if you go to Dao Dao, you'll see like all the sub DAOs that are associated with Dao Dao. Or if you
Hmm.
go to, you know, whatever DAO. Um,
Isn't DAOs just the shares of the company, which would make it essentially securities at some point, and it will be fully.
well, this is the thing with like legal wrappers is like if you're doing a like, I think the whole point is actually I think DAOs are 100x better for like just compliance
Mhm.
potentially. Like if you've ever run a company before, you have to do these things like send like meeting memoranda to the state where they
Mhm.
file it on a piece of paper, and like, you know, it costs like
Mhm.
$35 and you send your like
Yeah.
like board meeting notes. And like that could just be a proposal like on
Yeah.
chain. You know, and if you want to try to get those memorandum notes later, you have to like call the state because they're like there's not like a really good website for this or whatever. You have to pay like
Mhm.
$35. Some secretary goes, pulls it out of a filing cabinet and scans it for you. Like that's really slow and inefficient. Think about like accounting for like these organizations. We spend all this money on like legions of accountants and lawyers because we're living in this like and I think this is like the fundamental thing I have against like our current like institutions is just how inefficient they are. The
Mhm.
fact is we run our financial system on Excel, which is crazy. Like hedge funds manage billions of dollars in Excel. All the accounting for all these companies, all the taxes done in Excel. Data entry errors cause losses of billions of dollars, you know, for the IRS and for government institutions. And so, you know, I think some people are just like afraid of new things and they're just scared.
Mhm.
Um, and I also think that there's legit criticisms to be made of these institutions as well. Like, you know, I think that the way like the SEC has gone about like approaching this whole industry has been like pretty bad, to be honest. Like, um, and there's some people that I think would have like a more like a better approach. Like, I don't think any of us really want to just like legalize scams or whatever, you know, but like, just, I don't know. We got to fight for the future we want. And that's what I want to
Yeah.
do. But,
Uh,
you know, and this whole like, they're like, oh, but, you know, regulations, compliance, like we can do that. I mean,
mhm.
we can do it fucking better than like
Yeah.
any of the current shit. Like,
I I will push my own agenda. Sorry, like sometimes, but I do think like that. Even it's so much ahead with the DAOs, but you know, in still in many countries you have strong corruption, and if that would be on chain DAO, that essentially can remove corruption and put
totally.
this to the
That's the great
public.
thing. I think a
Um,
lot of times these institutions are also just so US
mhm,
centric. They're just
yeah,
so like up in like US colonialist
mhm,
interests
mhm,
where they just like make the rest of the world like part of the American empire
mhm,
that they forget the perspective of other people. DAOs are amazing tools. Like if you live in Nigeria and you want to start a company and you want to raise money for your company, good fucking luck. Like you just
mhm,
can't do it. But DAOs, for the first time, could allow people, you know, in like other parts of the world where that don't have as robust kind of legal systems that have issues with corruption to like transparently like do these kinds of activities. And I think that's one of the most powerful and
mhm,
exciting features about DAOs. And I think it's one of the reasons why, if anything, like regulators should be fucking encouraging experimentation in this. Like we need a
mhm,
safe harbor, similar to how there was like a safe harbor for, you know, for the internet back. I think many ways like regulators should be looking at how the internet was regulated in its early days with
mhm,
like safe harbors and things like
mhm.
that. You have to allow these things like proper time to like evolve before you like go in and try to smash everything.
I don't know if you will like it, but I think this is a huge opportunity also for United States, right? Like United States win bigly by because of internet, because like Japan was just around the corner, and then US invented internet and encouraged the business development around that. And I think this decentralized system is another which is maybe against your idea because it does maybe brings more power to the great land of opportunities and infinite money,
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, I'm from there, so you can see the problems close up. It's like,
But
but,
I think
yeah. I mean, it's not all
also with
bad. Like, yeah.
mhm. Well, it's great place for raising money, for example, right? Like
Oh, it's like the
that's
best place for raising money.
yeah, yeah. There is no other place like this.
There was a
But also
dude. I mean, you know, the WeWork dude just raised like $1 billion or like 350, like a $350 million check from A16Z, and that's
mhm.
after his last company just lost
Oh,
billions of
is
dollars.
it?
Like, yeah,
He's still there, accepted. That's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean too much money in US, but which is good thing. I do think many Americans maybe do not appreciate the certain things as well because of that. I'm not saying US is best, but it has its good sides as well. I think also Daos, maybe you disagree with me, but even the institutions that do not suffer from heavy corruption, there is big distrust. For example, there is big distrust to science, I feel, and big distrust to FDA, which I think is great organization. I do
Yeah,
believe they work for the best. They have great people working there, but there is distrust because people don't know what they do. I guess maybe it could be done public via those systems, right? And
I
then
think
people can look up.
transparency is
Hmm.
great. Like that's another great thing that we get with DAOs. You know, is just
Hmm.
like transparency into how these organizations are
Hmm.
operating, and it's like that can definitely help build Trust. Um,
Hmm.
like when all the decisions and all the documents are just happening over email, and people are just sharing around like, you know, word files, like that's not accessible, that's
Hmm.
not discoverable. You can't see how these people are thinking and what like evidence is being weighed, and you know the sort of the process things are done
Hmm.
by. So yeah, I think that's
Um,
also a really good point.
Nick Starr saying Dao Dao should have its own app. Was it ever thought about?
Mm, not for the like not for any. There's still a lot of empty block space on Juno.
Hmm.
No Dao Dao chain until like it starts to be like a problem where there's just so many DAOs that all the blocks are full. But I think
Hmm.
we're a long way away from that. So yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying
Um,
like never, but you know,
yeah. Um, you said many, like, sorry for going political. Is there anything that United States does way better beyond raising money than other places?
I mean, it's definitely like been a very stable governance system for a long time.
Hmm.
You know, I have to give it credit, like, and that's why it's better to raise money there than in a lot of places because of like just a good rule of law.
Hmm.
I do worry we're starting to see like some cracks in that just due to like political dysfunction, but like it still is lumbering forward, and it's like you have to respect like you have to respect that like the I mean that and that's why it's you know such a popular place for raising money is because like there's a very well established precedent of rule of law and you know things like
Hmm.
that. So yeah, you know, there's good things about the US too. Like
Hmm.
great place for innovation and entrepreneurship, you know. I wish they were a little bit more crypto friendly, or at least just like providing a safe harbor for people to like go out and experiment and not have to worry about shit. But you know, it is what it is.
Hmm. Hmm. Um.
I do think that there's the like how I think the US loses its advantage is if it tries to fight this stuff too much to protect vested interests of like established players, like big accounting
Hmm.
firms, uh, and and therefore like loses the opportunity to other countries that will be more open and willing to
Hmm.
innovate.
Hmm. Um. What do you think is needed for DAOs to become really like widely adopted by people? Like, because I think it could be maybe cool to even play with friends, but how to do it in like in order to get it to the people's hands, and especially bring it via like chain that is not really that widely adapted like Juno, you know?
I actually always think that like really big ideas oftentimes start out in niche communities. Like it's a
Mhm.
real midwit strategy thing to be like, oh, we're gonna do this for mass adoption. Like that's how you raise like a bunch of VC money, but it like all those companies fail, like
Mhm.
basically like every time. Um, so it really like happens and is just like yeah, niche communities. You know, those early super fans like Facebook started just amongst college students. You know, and if they like had gone like mass market right away, if they had like invited like our parents onto like Facebook, like, you know, in 2006 or whatever, it would have been not cool and none of us would have used it, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so it's like oftentimes, you know, these things like start in more niche communities. And I think that that's definitely going to be the case for DAOs. Um, because there's also a lot of like things that have to be built and like best practices that have to be established. Like there's a lot of experimentation to do. And guess what? Some of the experiments are going to blow up. You know, there's going to be like, I don't know, DAO takeovers, or there's going to be like just communities that just have a really divisive vote, and it like divides the community into, and like there's just going to be all these different things that happen. And there's, the tooling is also maturing. And so I think that's, you don't want to go to mass market like right away, because like we need to like kind of get through all those issues before we are like finally at a point where, things feel good. I do think the thing that's really going to take it mass market is like seamless legal wrappers around DAOs. I think a lot of people are hesitant to start DAOs because they don't understand like the implications. And in many ways, it's a complete gray area. And,
Hmm.
you know, that's fine. We're just going to keep experimenting, and, and going, and, adapting as we go. That's what we have to
Hmm.
do. So, I think that that's probably the biggest barrier to mass adoption is legal wrappers around DAOs. But there is a lot of innovation that's being done around that. And it's actually someplace that I hope Dao Dao will be like pioneering. Like we're
Hmm.
always going to be repping also the legitimacy of entity list DAOs. Like if you have like international membership, and you're only doing business, quote unquote, online, like you should be able to just have a social club with people all over the world and claim your jurisdiction as the internet. Like to whom does that
Like
should
Jake
that?
Hartnell.
I guess, yeah, I don't know. Like Juno, or like
Yeah.
Dao Dao, and if you read the Dao Dao Constitution, like there's actually special terms that we talked with some great lawyers who worked with us for free because they thought it was cool, which is
Is he a
um,
good lawyer though?
oh yeah, really good crypto lawyer. So like did like Solana and stuff. Apparently Solana was like a big project. I don't know.
Oh, is the Gabriel?
You can't have them. That we've got them scheduled for work for a
No, it's
long period
okay.
of time.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe worth to get two lawyers to get different opinions. But I
Oh
I
no,
was
we're
also
getting like
like.
I mean we're getting different opinions on it, but like also you kind of gotta just fight for the future that you want. You know what?
Hmm.
I'm a really big believer that like you're not scamming people, you're not doing a token sale, you're like literally out there just trying to like make a better world or
Yeah.
whatever. It's like sure, that's a risk I'm just willing to take because we
Hmm.
just gotta like fight for the future we want, and
But
like
there is still risk with governance that you take in, with the line, um where your freedom ends and where the other freedom starts, because what it enables users to actually police over others. Isn't it? Could it be problem ever? Like just a thought now. Like I don't know if it makes sense, right? Like.
I mean, we tried to outline like a lot of things in the Dao Dao Constitution, and
Mhm.
actually releasing the Dao Dao Constitution was great because it got a bunch of people interested in it, and like people are trying to like basically like outline the rights and responsibilities of members,
Mhm.
but also like what we're kind of doing with some of these like entity list DAOs is we're creating sovereign internet organizations,
Mhm.
um, and there'll probably
Um.
be some. I mean, I can't like picture like all the issues that will arise, but we'll deal with them when we get there. It's like, um,
Mhm.
it's
I'm
you have to start with like best intentions and then just react as as things come along. So
I'm
I'm
quite
not.
curious. Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
I think that at the end of the day, it's just like outlining the rights and responsibilities of members and just make it really clear what they're taking part in. Um,
Mhm.
it's like make it really clear that like by joining this community, you're agreeing to like on-chain governance. The community is, is in control, like as outlined by like the smart contracts, as enforced by the smart contracts, Um, in many ways that's like a lot better than like legal language that has to be interpreted and that it costs if they're a lot of people have like really bad things that happen to them and they're totally able to sue but they can't sue because they don't have enough money for lawyers. And it's
Mhm.
just like I think smart contracts are just actually like a better system but the design of them is going to have to be, we're going to have to keep iterating. And one of the things that we can work on is like legal like language around smart contracts that clearly explain in English or in Polish or whatever, like what is happening, how does voting work, what are the expectations of joining this DAO, you know
Hmm.
um
Um,
so
y- NFTs and DAOs. I think there is something happening between DAO and Stargaze. Uh, some
yeah,
could, could you tell exactly, because I don't want to fix that. We will be able to use the assets, the NFT assets in Dao Dao. Will we be able to use them also as the governance?
yeah, I mean, eventually,
Hmm.
that's like the long-term goal. Like, it's been
Hmm.
something that's been part of Stargaze like roadmap from the beginning. And I think in many ways, like data contracts can like help bring that sooner rather than later. So
So
get psyched.
if I create Don Dao with Don Cryptonium, right? I can use Don Cryptonium NFTs in the DAO for the governance as well. Is it correct?
Sure.
Okay. I
I mean,
was
we have the
thinking like.
contracts for this where it's like most of the work is in
Mhm,
the UI though. So
mhm. What do you think? It's better idea to bridge the assets like this, or it's better to have the separate governance token? You're saying.
uh I don't know what you mean by separate governance token, but
Well, oh,
you can
sorry,
do
like
both. I mean,
additional governance token.
you don't even have to bridge the assets. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
I picture interchain DAO tooling like where I think a lot of the basic DAO contracts like multisigs are going to be deployed in
Hmm.
many places.
Hmm.
That's just like they're open source. They're going to be deployed in many places. So
Hmm.
we might as well deploy them as DAO DAO. Like
Hmm.
um and so but there's also really cool things we can do with like interchain accounts and stuff too and IBC queries. I'm actually trying to work on like one of the first like IBC query voting contracts where like voting power is determined by like the state on another chain, which is really cool. Cross chain smart contracts, man, they're the future, and I think that we're just starting to see like early experimentation with them. Um, so we're really serious about the whole interchain DAO vision. It's like that's the goal, and like, but at the same time, like Juno's the home of Dao Dao. We have
Hmm.
like that's where all the innovation is going to be happening. And in many ways, it's perfect because like it's a real environment where we can just deploy all the latest and greatest and most experimental shit. We have some crazy shit lined up. Like
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
gonna it's gonna blow people's minds.
I am really excited. Like, but it's always hard to discuss with some friends because still the tooling that exists on Ethereum, I think as of now, like it's might be. It's hard to have the argument against that. Like some of my friends are like, no, like I have users on Ethereum already. And I have tools like even like board tapes, right? I think they used, I don't know if they used, is it snapshot.org or something like this
Yeah,
to create it?
snapshot. It's like a
Yeah.
poll. You just do a poll. It's off chain.
Yeah, like so people
It's not
still.
real DAO tooling. We build real DAO tooling with Dao.
And
That actually gets to, I think, the problem with a lot of Ethereum DAOs is they all use Gnosis multisigs or Gnosis safe multisigs, and in effect, the DAO is controlled by like 3 or 4 members,
Mhm,
um, and that's not great. So with DAO from day one, we're trying to like make
mhm,
the default just on-chain governance, and we can do that because in Cosmos, it's actually cheap enough to vote. It's actually cheap enough to have like transaction. Um,
I
like
wouldn't
voting.
vote on Ethereum. I understand now why there's no engagement. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
why would you waste
And that's
money?
why everyone has spent all their time, and why like
Mhm,
all the Ethereum DAO tools that have raised like 40 or $50 million, they're like it's all just
mhm,
off-chain shit. It's all Web 2.5 shit. It's
mhm,
boring.
mhm.
Um,
What does make good NFT according to Jake Hartnell? Maybe we can
no
narrow it
roadmap.
even.
Any NFT project that has a roadmap is a fucking scam. Like
Mhm,
basically every time. If I see a roadmap, I'm always just like, oh my god, no, just like make cool art. Don't talk about how you're gonna make a fucking video game because you're probably not gonna do it. and like, yeah, just make cool art that people want to buy that like
Mhm.
stands up on its own. And if you go and wind up making that video game, great, but don't say how, like, don't publish this huge fucking roadmap. Like, either just do the thing, or, you know, like, there's a lot of people that are out there and they like talk about doing a thing and they spend all this time talking about it. Maybe they might write a white paper or make a big website or make a big announcement or like go on chat shows and talk about how they're going to do a thing. But just fucking do the thing. Like, I don't know. Anytime I see a roadmap on an NFT project, I'm like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, and I think people
Also, I think
realize how.
non-PFP NFTs are cool. Like, just PFPs are. I'm kind of tired of them. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I
they're just
still don't
boring
see
shenanigans.
non-PFP NFTs. Seriously, like
Yeah,
I
yeah. I mean, I
tried.
think there's real opportunity there for like people to like, you know, go out and experiment with more interesting
Mhm.
NFT formats.
Give example.
I mean, just like, honestly, like, just do like books and music.
Mhm.
There you go. Great.
There is that joke,
Not
kind of
each one.
joke.
Here's the thing. Like, not every NFT has to be unique. You know, editions are fucking cool, man. Like, just like that's the future. I actually really hope to bring some stuff like that to Stargaze soon. Because, you
Mhm.
know, I think I just don't like the PFPs.
I still don't see the music NFTs, but like you said, it doesn't have to be unique, so mm, it can be.
Yeah, you so
Let, let,
like
Mhm.
actually, so I'll tease, like, I don't have time for this now, but sometimes I think about projects that I really, really want to work on. And I really want to do a record label DAO at some point, and
Mhm.
it's going to be called Digital Colts, and we're going to get like the most like edgy, like underground electronic music artists, and there's going to be like limited edition albums. So for like an
Mhm.
album or like thing that comes out, uh, anyone can listen to it, but you buy the album and that gives you access to a very, very exclusive community that throws like really fucking awesome parties
Mhm.
and shows.
Is there a possibility that there is musician? Let's say he's the big pop figure that would release the unlimited NFT. Okay, the song NFT. Maybe I'm asking if you see it this way, it will go into the future, and he has 100% of rights to this NFT, and you can simply buy this NFT and have it in your player. That's where we go to, or you don't see it
Sure.
this way.
I mean, I just see it like
Mhm.
Bandcamp. Like, let's just do Bandcamp, but with NFTs.
Mhm. I like, because yeah, I must say I still don't see music
If anyone
NFTs
out there
like
is like listening and wants to like, you know, build this kind of thing, just DM me.
would be really cool. Yeah, like I mean, if someone listen a chat and
I
can
would
get
do
to
it. I
you.
would do it myself, but like, I'm too busy right
Mhm.
now. I have too many projects.
Mhm.
I have no life.
If we
I actually probably have to get going soon. I've been ignoring my phone, but
just
we could do
ignore
this
for a
again.
little longer,
All
please.
right.
It's
10 minutes. You got 10 minutes to
thank
like
you.
ask me your juiciest shit.
That's difficult. I don't see, I can tell you with the books that would be difficult because I love ordering the first edition books signed by the author. I actually like I have
Well,
one that I'm ordering.
here's an idea for you. What if we fucking gate physical merch based on NFT ownership? Like, in order to get the merch, you have to buy the NFT. It's like fucking Unisocks, man.
I
You know
love
about
that. Yeah, yeah,
Unisocks?
yeah. I know
Yeah, it's a
Unisocks.
great
I
idea.
know.
It's
Yeah.
like, I think just people are being like too fucking uncreative with NFTs. Like,
How you do
at
it
least right
with
now.
bad kids, for example. Like I
Hmm?
have the bad kid. How you
Oh,
how
Bad
you
Kids are
do
great.
that?
Bad Kids are fucking
So
amazing. I have a
I
lot
think
of Bad
they're easy
Kids.
to make
Huge
merch.
fan. Very original.
Mhm.
Bad Kids are awesome.
It would be easy to do merch with them. I actually thought like with my bad kids, because they have
Totally.
these rich colors, you can really have like cool. But with the books,
And there have
I
been some
actually love.
Ethereum projects that have like, you know, experimented with that where like in order to like mint the t-shirt of your bad kid, you have to actually
Mhm,
own the bad kid or whatever. Like, that's, I
mhm,
think models like that are really cool. So
mhm. Um, I want favorite book, first edition, Fran and Zoe J.D. Salinger. Not sure if you. I have this. Look, it's very cool.
cool.
That's what NFTs will never give me. It's signed. Anyway, it's boring shit. Um, art. We have the bad kids, okay? But I feel with the NFTs that we miss something. You know, we miss controversy. And I tell you, for example, like don't you feel it's like nothing? Like I tell you, I wish that all the accusations against bored apes are truth because it makes better art.
I mean, okay. Alright. I mean, I
But
think we can make controversy. We just have to get like cooler communities in, and I
mhm,
keep coming back to like music and like and writing because I think that that's how you like they're just more interesting the communities that are built around those kinds of things
mhm.
than PFPs. Like
So how books can be done into, like, is it just ebook or
ebook, token gated physical merch again, like
mhm,
token gated experiences. Like one of the things that like I'm really interested in, again, if anyone's listening, like I'm really interested in like personally funding projects that are building like experiences on top of NFTs, like things that
mhm,
can like integrate with like Stargaze and
mhm,
allow, you know, like one of the great things, like Starrybot is a really great example of this. It's token gating for
mhm,
Discord. So if you have a bad kids, you can get access to like a secret channel, um, you know, that no one else has access to. I mean, you can imagine that for like books as well. You buy a book NFT, and guess what? Now you can like access a chat with the author or whatever, you know. And I
that's
think it,
nice.
yeah. So
That's
like
nice.
building these kinds of experiences on top of NFTs makes NFTs more valuable and interesting. You know, like the idea that like you had where it's just like if you have a bad kid, you can get a t-shirt of that bad kid. But if you don't
Mhm.
have that bad kid, you can't like so that, you know, things like that are really interesting.
But with the building things on top is like I know the Bad Kid artist, and he's actually non-technical person, and he's actually alone working on that. So it's very difficult to bring something extra to it because no one else working on that, right? So like I wish this maybe people would be engaging, looking other people and engaging them into to help them to build something, like although though it may be not the vision for the art they have.
Yeah, I mean, we need to like connect like developers with these kinds of
Hmm.
projects, you know. Um
Hmm.
like a lot of times like people can have like an idea for what they want to do, but you know, they don't know how to code, and uh, you know, there's still a lot of coding involved. Like, I would argue that some of these ideas are not even writing smart contracts. It's
Hmm.
just writing some JavaScript code and making websites and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, that's an issue. Like,
Okay.
but usually I think the best projects will like team up with like projects like Bad Kids or whatever, because that's a really great way to like get the word out
Hmm.
about whatever it is you're building. But I am really excited for like the kinds of integrations that will be, you know, built on Stargaze
Hmm.
and just NFTs in general. And so like it'd be, yeah, if anyone's listening and, you know, wants to like build cool stuff like that, you know, just my DMs
Hmm.
on Twitter are open. I
What's
sometimes look at
the
them.
what's the best song ever according to Jake Hartnell?
The best what?
Best song ever. I know you like music, so I'm sure you have your favorites. Something that is deeply in your heart.
Yeah.
Can be few.
Um, I'd probably say like just like Bright Eyes, the entire album of Lifted, but especially the ending song, Let's Not Shit Ourselves.
I saw them in your Instagram. I stalked you well. Yeah, I think
Oh,
you were
Jesus
live.
Christ. You are, oh man, I've got a stalker. Fuck.
No, I'm just preparing myself. I need to know things. But you were not very keen about talking of this like personal stuff. That's okay. The worst projects on Juno.
All right, that's a great spicy one. Oh, I can't be mean. I don't like saying negative things.
Go on.
It's just a I think it's like even if you think negative things, I usually find it's usually just best to like keep them to yourself.
Mhm. But there is quite a few, right?
I mean,
Um,
yeah, of course. Like it's a permissionless smart contract chain. There's going to be
mhm,
shit.
mhm.
Like,
I saw a few things. I think you might be disappointed with capitalism. Why capitalism is bad, according to Jake Harnell, or maybe you. like
I just
capitalism.
think I
I do.
really hate these kind of discussions of like capitalism. So it's just like
Hmm.
they're not usually very intelligent, and
Hmm.
like I think markets are really powerful. I really like markets. I fucking work in crypto. I think markets are really
Hmm.
powerful mechanisms, but there's a lot of like bad aspects of the system today. Like because right now I would argue we actually don't have free markets. What we
Hmm.
have is like this entrenched like like big companies use bureaucracy and regulation to entrench their own interests and make it so that people can't enter and like build competitive better things. um,
Hmm.
and that's arguably not real capitalism. People just go back and forth about these stupid definitions. It just, again, these things don't really like interest me. But like I
No, it's
think there's a
cool.
lot of legit critiques about capitalism, and there's a lot of and obviously you have to like define things. But
Hmm.
I mean, I do think markets are cool. In many ways, my critiques of like the current system is because like our markets are fucking captured by like private entities. They're not real
Hmm.
markets.
Hmm.
So, and in
It's
crypto, we're
perfect.
building real markets.
It's perfect answer for my stupid question, and I do like, because I do believe, maybe like you said, like we don't seem to have like capitalism. You said like markets are more interesting, and I do like markets. I think the markets have power to regulate themselves, and I think Dao Dao or Daos could bring really, for some people in real definition, the real free markets to their hands, where people can compete on the same terms, on the same rules with their own organizations, which would be true market driven economy and society. I don't know, like, but that's what I like to see in DAOs for now, although maybe that's just dream. Um,
Yeah, I think I think that's something we're definitely working towards. I think crypto already has like very efficient and awesome
mhm,
markets, which are amazing.
mhm,
Um, like the DeFi infrastructure is just getting better and better, and it's really impressive, and it's really cool to see like the DeFi projects that are starting to come out on Juno. I've gotten like some sneak peeks into them, and it's amazing. And I think when you combine that with governance and DAO tooling, and also just sovereign blockchains, because I think the Cosmos model of like interoperable sovereign blockchains is the best model. Like fuck this like monarchist idea of like one chain to rule them all. Like that's not cool.
mhm,
Like allow people to people, just the reality is people have different values. Like
mhm,
people, and that's fine. Like we don't have to agree on all things. Like
mhm,
that's what I love about like the interchain vision is like if you don't like the way things are done on one chain, like there's many others to choose from. Find a
mhm,
community that aligns with your values, and if it doesn't exist, go make one.
mhm. Jake, um, so I know you're in a rush. Thank you for being here, accepting some of my questions, better, some
Yeah, I
worse.
mean, we should do this again. This is like a fun interview, but yeah. So
Is there one question you wish you would be asked more
um
often?
wow, that's a really good question. Um let's see. No, not really.
Maybe you will figure it out one day, because there's
Maybe we'll
like,
figure it out. I'll probably like get off this call and then eventually I'll be like, oh, there was a question, but
because like
um
sometimes there's the guess, hey, I wish people would ask me this more often, because I do think this is really important, but no one asked me that, right? There is always something like that. Okay.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
I generally like anything about DAOs, just this is great. Um why DAOs are
thank you
cool,
for
why DAOs
this.
are important. Yeah, this
Mhm.
is fun. So
Thank you for this. I hope we can do it again. When I get ready, I will be asking you again.
okay, yeah.
Um, Work hard and create great things, and
Mm,
do
no.
sleep sometimes.
I'm gonna try today. Today was rough. I don't usually get up this early.
I
Normally, I would
know.
still be sleeping. So yeah.
At
But yeah,
least
thanks
you have
for
long.
this was a fun interview, and we'll have to do it again. Maybe after Cosmoverse. I'm planning like a fucking banger Cosmoverse talk.
Mhm.
It's gonna be spicy as fuck. Um, so get ready. And the
Hope it
topic
will be
is
online because I cannot be there, which is sad. I wish I would
yeah,
meet
it's bad.
more
You should.
people.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
But
I know. It's quite far to be honest. So like it's this, and I'm just moving. I'm moving to Hong Kong now to my wife. So like it's just really inconvenient time for me.
all right, well, stay
Um,
safe there. Like,
it will be okay. Yeah, like
right.
I leave there when the protest started. Actually, like different story. Hope there will be more events like closer to us as well. Europe, US. I think great places. We should do more events there.
Yeah,
So
totally.
I guess till the next time, Jake. Thank you for getting time for me, and enjoy your long day. Take care.
Yeah, yeah. You too. Peace.
Bye bye.